Alright, let's talk about Byler. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately about how Season 5 ended up ending and certain aspects about Season 5, especially with its epilogue, how exactly Byler actually could be canon, but just certain details actually throw it off from it being canon. I brought up that Byler ended in the worst way possible, but actually thinking more in depth about it now, it seems like that if you actually take out certain details or actually connect certain details together, it actually feels like maybe it's actually canon?
Stay strong, carry on, you should know that I'm here to stay.
The Duffer Brothers have gone as far to say that one of the main reasons why Byler isn't canon is because they wanted to block out the noise for what would be Byler fans, or just generally the Byler fandom when it comes down to making this ship canon. And unfortunately, one of the biggest things that I've seen recently is that it's clear it's not just fans who had the idea that this actually could be canon, but also the cast as well, to specify who: Maya Hawke, Noah Schnapp, and Finn Wolfhard.
Are you a Byler shipper? Byler, yeah. 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 You need to stop spreading rumors that Byler's gonna happen. I'm like, I've spread as many rumors as I need to.
If you recently saw the entire Jimmy Fallon interview with Maya Hawke, you would have known that she brought up the very first thing, which was the cutest couple that never was.
I mean, I'm tempted to do one of these
Ooh,
two
what?
guys.
Oh yeah, sure, do it.
Maybe, but
Who?
well, he's
Oh!
And the cutest couple that never was is, in fact, Will and Mike, which aka Byler was the first thing that literally came up for that entire board. In fact, Jimmy Fallon was also one to bring up the idea that the two of them should just stay together, even though Maya was thinking about putting them in separate places. There was also Noah, who brought up the entire thing of including the best friend scene, and if it wasn't for him insisting to get the best friend scene, then we would have never have gotten that scene where Mike is just like best friends, which I'll get to that scene shortly about why I theorize that it's canon. It's also very clear over the past couple of years that like Finn and Noah have been on the idea of Byler. In fact, they've actually, like, Noah has actually gone as far on Twitter to be like, I want to ship the two of them as it is, but then also Finn actually liking the Instagram post. So saying the entire idea of the two characters not having romantic chemistry is actually very much false, including the fact that the actors in themselves wanted the characters to get together, but the only real reason why they never got together was the producers in question, who said they wanted to block out the noise, which I will get to. Things which I also noticed with, like, why I feel like that this entire thing is canon and the issue with the Duffer Brothers and producers and so on. Let's get down to the point of why I feel like this is canon. The very first thing that I should bring up is the best friend scene in question. And the best friend scene that was on the radio tower in episode 8, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the series, which who wouldn't have? You would know that the scene starts off with Mike sharing his water ball, which people say is an indirect kiss, which I could kind of see it in some way. And then you get the two of them flirting in the scene, and then before, like, continuing the journey, they would, like, have this conversation of,
And you still think we can be friends?
Friends? No thanks. Best friends.
the reason why I want to say this scene is that it isn't necessarily a friend zoning thing in question. A lot of times you think about people who get married, and the times that people say, I married my best friend. And I'm not sure if people thought about it that way originally. And actually, when I watched the scene originally, I actually got really excited before the whole episode continued on. So the entire idea of this best friend scene could actually not even be the case of, oh, them just being best friends. It could actually be a lot more, but we just didn't see it because of the aspects that the directors decided to put it in. Which, let's talk about the epilogue now. That includes, like, the epilogue of Mike mourning, and then the whole D&D scene. There's been different people who have talked about the D&D scene and certain aspects of the epilogue that kind of add adds up towards it actually being canon more than anything. Like, you obviously got Mike mourning, which, like, mourning over 11, so-and-so, her death. I just have to bring up that Void scene real quickly, because the problem is that the Void scene should have not happened naturally. I don't know if naturally is the right word here. The whole Void scene in itself is just very odd, and I thought that, if anything, it's just strange how, like, there's this moment where the two of them are they're not gonna be able to see each other again. And in fact, Mike is thinking that this is 11's death. He couldn't even say I love you. And the kiss seemed very forced. I know 11s are gonna say, oh no, it wasn't forced. There was just this whole thing of love. And it's like, I have to bring up the aspects of the previous parts of the series too, where it's like, the entire relationship, and at least how I see it, was at least a one-sided relationship where, like, 11 definitely loved Mike. And at some point or another, Mike did too. But from season 4 and beyond, it seemed like that it didn't really hit the same way. In fact, like, there was more of an aspect of Mike going after Will and caring more for Will more than anything, which the whole Void scene kind of shows that the entire thing where it's like, the last moments he couldn't even say I love you. And the whole, like, season 4 scene in the pizza shop, he said I love you, but it was forced because Will wanted to repair the relationship. Like, that was the one thing that, like, comes up, is that, oh, it's a symbolism of love. And it's like, no, because, like there was a confession of love from Will, but then it was described, described by 11's words and so on. So it's like, it's all just messy. Anyways, back to the epilogue of season 5 and going into the D&D scene in question. So the D&D scene in question is, I liked the D&D scene. It was actually very nice, and I thought that in nostalgia sense, it was a really nicely shot scene. But we're talking about Byler here. We're talking about Byler. Now, I have to bring up a few key details that come up here, which is Mike's imagination of what would be basically after so-and-so Stranger Things ends. You have Will with his epilogue boyfriend, but then you have Mike being alone. But let's just completely get rid of those. Let's completely get rid of those. And let's say that in itself, the scene in itself was shaped in such a way where the two of them were actually boyfriends. Now look at me crazy. Look at me crazy and say that this is not a romantic scene in between each other. Look at the looks. Look at the way that they interact with each other. This definitely screams out that there is a deeper connection in between the two. Even though strictly Will said Mike was his Tammy.
He's just my Tammy.
There's a deeper connection. A lot of people have theorized where this scene in question really does scream out that the two of them were going to spend some quality time together after this D&D scene. And some of the reactions from Will do definitely scream that. Like, there are moments where he's looking at Mike a certain way and then also being like, kind of like playful in such a way where it's like, he's ready to leave the D&D scene and just go and hang out with Mike. The way that the scene is done is not just a scene that's done in a way that's just like, it's not a friendship scene. It's not a friendship or best friend scene. It seems like it's more of a deeper relationship. Like, it's like a secret, like, relationship of, like, the two of them. And the only real reason why the whole aspect of the whole Byler being canon thing doesn't happen is because the imaginary stuff that comes up. And I'm willing to bet there was some form of a different vision for Noah and Finn actually being like the two of them are actually together, and like it isn't strictly said that Mike is ending up alone, or like Will ends up being like, it's never strictly brought up that he finds a boyfriend or something like that. It's never strictly brought up besides the visions that are brought up in Mike's imagination. Like, as far as we're concerned, it could actually be much more of a deeper meaning to this scene. Like, it's not just it's not just best friends playing, it's boyfriends playing with their 3 other friends. This scene with Mike and Will is far more than just friends playing. In fact, it's far more of a deeper connection. It's like, it's the problem of trying to add certain aspects to throw people off. So it could actually be canon, but we don't see it being canon because the producers make it so it's not canon. And I look at it as a certain aspect with believing that the actual reason why we never got Byler is because of the producers. And it's so clear that a lot of the people, in fact, including the cast, were on the idea of Byler happening. And it's like building the show up on this relationship that never came to be, but then just proceeding to slap it and throw it all away, quote unquote, throw it away because of like, oh, the noise, we gotta block out the noise. And it doesn't end up, and it doesn't even help that the Duffer Brothers have gone as far to say, oh, like, if we're broke for some reason, we're just gonna come back to the show and just make it like where it's like a couple of years down the road. And then also go as far to say, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna make a spin-off show that basically ties up loose ends that weren't answered in season 5. Anyways, I just wanted to make a video talking about like this thought that I had since last night and kind of clarifying some things that actually people probably didn't really think about. People analyze certain aspects and everything like that, but I wanted to kind of possibly set the record straight that there actually is an actual case of this actually being canon, but the only reason why it's not canon is because they never showed it. So I want to say thank you guys so much for watching this little video on Byler and just me complaining about the Duffer Brothers for probably, let's say, 15 to 16 minutes. I'll see you guys later when I do fan fictions next, or at least one for the time being, because I want to try and see maybe stories are good. Bye!